Most people believe they need proof before they can believe in something. They want evidence, guarantees, the applause of the crowd, or the nod of authority before they dare to trust their own judgment. But history, philosophy, and human progress have always testified to a deeper truth. It is not proof that moves mountains, it is faith. Proof always arrives after faith has already gone ahead to clear the path. The great bridges were built before people knew for certain they would hold. The explorers set sail without maps showing what lay beyond the horizon. The inventor in his dim workshop labored for years without any applause, any recognition, any reassurance, but with a stubborn belief that what he imagined could one day take form. If they had waited for proof, they would have waited forever. The world is not built by those who wait for certainty. The world is shaped, guided, and enriched by those who first believe completely without condition, and only later does the evidence appear to justify what they already knew within themselves. Think about this. Every advancement we take for granted today was once an unproven idea that lived only in someone's mind. The light bulb was an absurdity before it illuminated a single room. The airplane was a fantasy before it left the ground. The skyscraper was impossible before it touched the sky. Faith is the seed, proof is the harvest. Yet most people demand the harvest before planting the seed. That is why their lives remain barren. They want to see the fruit before they believe in the soil, but that is not how life works. Faith must always come first. If you can believe in yourself, if you can see in your mind the man or woman you are meant to become, then you are already halfway there. But if you insist on waiting for proof, on waiting for others to recognize you or circumstances to validate you, you will never begin. The law of faith is simple. What you accept inwardly will become visible outwardly in its own time and season. Write that law down, let it ingrain itself into your mind. The tragedy of life is not that people aim too high and miss, but that they aim too low and hit. Why do they aim low? Because they doubt, because they seek proof. They look for someone to tell them that their dream is realistic, practical, or achievable. They want numbers, statistics, and a certificate before they move forward. But life does not issue guarantees. Life issues opportunities. When you hesitate waiting for proof, those opportunities slip by, and while you are waiting, someone else, someone with faith, someone with boldness, seizes them. We do not fail because life is unfair. We fail because we choose doubt over faith. When you wake each morning, you are faced with a choice. You can choose to see only what has already been proven and limit yourself to repeating yesterday, or you can choose to see beyond proof into possibility and step forward with faith. That choice is the dividing line between mediocrity and greatness, between those who settle and those who rise. Faith is not blind, as some believe. It is vision. Faith sees before the eyes can confirm. It knows before the facts align. It is not careless optimism, it is disciplined conviction. The farmer does not see the harvest when he plants the seed. He has no proof the season will be kind, no assurance the rains will come in time, and yet he plants because he has faith in the law of growth. You too must plant your actions, your words, your thoughts in the soil of faith. You will not always see immediate proof, but the law is as certain as gravity. What you plant in faith, you will one day reap in form. Repeat this in your mind. I plant in faith, and I harvest in certainty. Write it on your notepad. Let it become your inner creed. Faith is not reckless, it is obedience to universal law. There are two kinds of people in this world, those who need proof before they believe, and those who believe first, and in believing create the proof. One group waits, and their lives remain small, safe, and predictable. The other group steps forward, against the odds, against the doubts, against the absence of evidence, and they become the leaders, the builders, the pioneers. The difference is not talent, not opportunity, not circumstance. It is the presence of unshakable faith. Which group do you belong to? This question will decide the course of your life. If you wait for proof, you will spend your life applauding the achievements of others. If you believe in yourself without needing evidence, you will one day be the one others applaud. Consider this. Proof is the past speaking, but faith is the future calling. Proof tells you what has already been done, what is already known, what is already safe. Faith tells you what is possible, what can be, what has not yet been revealed. If you live only by proof, you are living only by the past, a prisoner of yesterday's evidence. But if you live by faith, you are living into the future, the yet unwritten chapters of your own destiny. Faith is not the denial of reality, it is the shaping of reality. Every builder, every creator, every achiever has always chosen faith over proof. You must decide whether you will do the same. Proof is comfortable. Faith is uncomfortable. Proof is applauded. Faith is often mocked. Proof requires no courage. Faith requires all of it. Proof will give you acceptance in the crowd. Faith may isolate you from the crowd. But remember this, no one ever changed the world with proof. Proof is safe, but it is sterile. Faith is dangerous, but it is fertile. The man or woman who chooses faith plants seeds that others cannot see. And one day, when those seeds rise into visible form, the world will call them visionaries, geniuses, even miracles. But they were simply people who refused to wait for proof. Let me give you a law to carry with you. Faith precedes proof. Say it out loud. Faith precedes proof. Write it down. Let it sink into your subconscious. This is not just a phrase. It is a law, like gravity, like cause and effect. Everything you desire, everything you dream of becoming will follow this law. You cannot prove your greatness before you live it. You cannot prove your destiny before you embody it. But if you believe it now with unshakable faith, the proof will appear. If you remember only one thing from this message, remember this law. Faith precedes proof. Now let us affirm together a statement of power. Write it, speak it, breathe it until it becomes part of you. I am one with wealth and wisdom, free of fear and doubt. I do not wait for proof, I create it. I walk in faith and proof follows my steps. Say it again. Write it in your notes. Keep it in your mind. This is the essence of unshakable faith, that you need no proof, only the certainty of your own belief. And when you live by this law, you will discover what every man and woman of achievement has known. The universe does not reward hesitation. It rewards faith. Think of a compass. A compass points north no matter the storm, no matter the confusion of the landscape. Faith is your inner compass. It is the steady direction of your mind and heart, guiding you forward even when visibility is low. Without it, you wander in circles, uncertain, easily swayed by the opinions of others, tossed by every wave of circumstance. With it, you remain steady, determined, unshakable. Others may panic in the storm, but you stay the course because you trust the compass within you. Proof is like the map you may or may not have. Faith is the compass you always carry, and if you follow it, it will lead you exactly where you were meant to go. Proof is helpful, but it is not necessary. Faith is necessary because without it, you will never move forward in the first place. Your self-image is the root of your faith. What you believe about yourself determines everything else. If deep down you believe you are unworthy, incapable, or destined for failure, then no proof in the world will convince you otherwise. You will dismiss opportunities, sabotage your own progress, and interpret every setback as confirmation of your doubts. But if you believe with unwavering certainty that you are capable, worthy, and destined for greatness, then no failure can deter you. You will rise after each fall, you will adapt after each mistake, and you will see every setback not as proof of defeat, but as fuel for growth. This is why unshakable faith must begin with how you see yourself. Write down this truth. I am worthy of success. I am capable of greatness. I am destined for more than I have yet seen. Repeat it until it feels natural, because your faith in yourself is the foundation for everything else. Most people underestimate the sheer creative power of their own belief. They think of faith as a vague feeling or religious notion, but in truth, it is a force as concrete as electricity, as measurable as gravity, and as powerful as the ocean tide. Faith is the inner certainty that bends the circumstances of life to your will. When you believe, your thoughts reorganize, your actions align, and unseen forces begin to cooperate with you. You radiate conviction, and conviction attracts opportunity. People are drawn to those who are sure of themselves. Doors open for those who walk with certainty. But when you doubt, you repel opportunity, you project hesitation, and life mirrors it back to you with closed doors and missed chances. The man of faith is magnetic, because faith itself is magnetic. To understand this is to understand why you must never wait for proof. Proof is nothing compared to the energy released when you embody unshakable faith in yourself. When you look at the men and women who have achieved remarkable things, you will always find this common thread. They believed in themselves when no one else did. They carried within them an inner conviction that burned brighter than the skepticism of the world. The Wright brothers were ridiculed, laughed at, and dismissed as dreamers, yet they believed. Henry Ford was told his ideas were impractical, yet he believed. Edison failed thousands of times, and people called him foolish, yet he believed. Faith gave them stamina, persistence, and courage when proof was absent. Their faith eventually became proof for all the world to see, but it was their faith that carried them there. Understand this, the proof you are waiting for will never arrive until your faith creates it. Most people underestimate how quickly faith transforms action. A person who doubts, hesitates, procrastinates, waits for the right time. A person who believes moves immediately because he trusts that even imperfect action will lead to progress, and because he acts, opportunities arise. Because he believes, others believe. Because he refuses to doubt, the very fabric of his life begins to bend toward his goals. This is why faith is not passive. It is the most active force you can possess. It moves your hand, sharpens your mind, and strengthens your resolve. A doubter sees obstacles. A believer sees paths. A doubter sees risks. A believer sees rewards. And the difference between the two is not external, it is entirely internal. There is a law of faith that I want you to engrave in your mind. Say it, write it, let it echo. As I believe, so it becomes. This is the law. As you carry belief in yourself, the world reflects it back to you. If you carry doubt, life mirrors doubt. If you carry faith, life mirrors faith. The inner creates the outer. Always. You cannot escape this law any more than you can escape gravity. But most people live unaware of it, and so they live as victims of their doubts. You are not bound to that fate. You can choose faith, and in choosing it, you choose the future. Understand this. When you walk in faith, you are never walking alone. Life itself rises to meet you. Circumstances bend. People align, opportunities appear, you begin to see connections you missed before, ideas flow that never occurred to you in doubt, and a strength rises that you never knew you possessed. This is why those who believe in themselves seem unstoppable. It is not because life is easier for them, it is because life responds differently to faith than it does to doubt. Doubt paralyzes, but faith accelerates. Doubt closes doors, but faith opens them. Doubt drains energy, but faith creates it. Faith does not ignore evidence, it creates it. The man of faith does not deny reality, he transcends it. He looks at what is and says, "This is only temporary. I know what will be." He sees lack but declares abundance. He sees obstacles but declares victory. He sees himself small but declares himself great. And in time, reality conforms. This is not superstition, this is law. Every achievement, every transformation, every breakthrough begins when someone decides to believe without waiting for proof. That decision reshapes their thoughts, their words, their actions, until the proof finally appears. So I ask you now, what are you believing about yourself? Do you believe you are small, limited, and destined for little? Or do you believe you are vast, capable, and destined for greatness? Do you believe you are just another ordinary person drifting through life? Or do you believe you are the author of your own story, a force of nature, a builder of destiny? The choice is yours. Faith is not given to you, it is chosen by you, and the moment you choose it, everything begins to change. Now write this down, say it aloud, and let it settle in your heart. I am worthy, capable, and destined for greatness. My faith shapes my future. I do not wait for proof, for my belief is proof enough. I walk boldly, knowing that as I believe, so it becomes. Carry this affirmation with you. Repeat it daily. Let it define your steps. In time, you will discover the truth. You don't need proof, only unshakable faith in yourself. There is a dangerous illusion that keeps most people trapped in mediocrity, and it is this. They think their environment must first change before they can change. They look at their bank account, their circumstances, their surroundings, and they say, when things improve, then I will believe in myself. When I have proof that I can succeed, then I will move forward. But life does not work that way. Your environment is not the cause, it is the effect. It is not the sculptor, it is the clay. What you believe about yourself, what you hold in the deepest chamber of your mind, becomes the shape of your environment. Proof never comes first, because proof is nothing more than the visible reflection of your past beliefs. If you want to see a different environment, you must first hold a different belief. Say this to yourself: I create my environment by what I believe. Write it, repeat it, let it soak into you. This is the law that frees you from waiting for proof. The man who believes he is poor will always find circumstances to confirm it. The woman who believes she is weak will always find situations that reinforce it. But the one who believes he is rich, strong, capable, destined, his life will slowly but surely arrange itself to match that conviction. This is why two people can walk through the same world and live entirely different lives. One sees only obstacles, the other sees only opportunities. One sees proof of lack, the other proof of abundance. The difference is not in the world, it is in the faith within. Your mind is the projector, your life is the screen. Change the film and the picture changes. Proof is simply the movie playing. Faith is the reel you choose to load. Do you see now why proof is so powerless? Proof is just the evidence of what you once believed. It is the photograph of yesterday's faith. But today, right now, you can choose new faith. You can believe in yourself in a way you never have before, and that new faith will become tomorrow's proof. Most people are waiting for today's proof, not realizing it is already too late. Yesterday's faith created today's proof, and today's faith is creating tomorrow's. That is why faith is always the starting line. You cannot afford to wait, because waiting means you are simply reliving yesterday over and over again. If you want a new life, you must first carry a new belief. Let me ask you, what proof have you been waiting for? Have you been waiting for someone to recognize your talent? Waiting for your finances to improve before you pursue your vision? Waiting for circumstances to validate what you already know inside? If so, recognize this pattern for what it is, an excuse born of doubt. Life will never hand you proof before you commit. Life demands that you commit first, and then it will deliver the evidence. It is like walking into a dark room. The proof that there is furniture inside does not appear until you switch on the light. Faith is the switch. If you stand in the doorway waiting for the light to come on by itself, you will stand there forever. The men and women who achieve greatness are those who act before proof. They do not wait for applause before speaking. They do not wait for an audience before performing. They do not wait for investors before building. They step forward in faith, and their actions generate the proof that others need in order to believe. The irony is this: those who wait for proof before acting never receive it, and those who act in faith create so much proof that others marvel at them. The difference is nothing more than this one word: belief. Not in the economy, not in the government, not in the crowd, but in themselves. And that is enough. Understand this: the universe does not reward hesitation, it rewards boldness. It does not respond to doubt, it responds to faith. Every day you wake up with the opportunity to signal to life what you expect. Your thoughts, words, and actions are the signal. When you believe in yourself, when you step forward boldly, that signal tells life, this man is ready, this woman is ready, and life responds in kind. But when you hesitate, when you wait for proof, your signal says, not ready, and life gives you nothing. This is why faith feels risky but is actually the safest path. Doubt feels safe but is actually the most dangerous path. There is another law I want you to write down and repeat until it echoes in your mind. My faith creates my proof. Say it slowly. My faith creates my proof. This is the reversal of everything the world has taught you. The world says proof creates faith. That is why the world remains stagnant. But the wise man, the wise woman, knows the truth. Faith creates proof. This law will change your life if you ingrain it, live it, and practice it daily. When doubt arises, repeat it. When fear whispers, repeat it. When others question you, repeat it. My faith creates my proof. This law is your shield against the temptation to wait. Your mind is fertile soil. Whatever you plant in it will grow. If you plant doubt, you harvest excuses. If you plant fear, you harvest regret. If you plant faith, you harvest achievement. The soil does not care what you plant. It only returns to you what you sow. So I ask you, what will you plant? The man of faith knows that he cannot afford to waste the soil of his mind on seeds of doubt. He plants only what he wants to harvest. And he guards that soil, protects it, waters it daily with affirmations and actions until the harvest comes. And when it does, people call him lucky. But luck had nothing to do with it. Faith did. Now take a deep breath and let us affirm together the truth that will carry you through every doubt. Say it aloud, write it on your paper, engrave it on your heart. My faith creates my proof. I do not wait. I do not hesitate. I plant faith in myself and I harvest proof in my life. I am the creator of my own evidence, the builder of my own reality, the architect of my own future. Let this be your declaration, not just once, but daily. And as you live it, you will see what few ever discover. You don't need proof, only unshakable faith in yourself. Faith is the great dividing line in human destiny. Look around you and you will see two kinds of people, those who drift and those who direct. The drifters are always waiting. They wait for conditions to improve, for someone to recognize them, for proof that it is safe to move forward. They live their lives as spectators, applauding the bold but never daring themselves. And then there are the directors, the ones who steer their course. They do not wait for proof because they know the law. Proof follows faith, never precedes it. They wake in the morning and declare their direction, and then they act. Their lives may begin as ordinary as anyone else's, but the difference is visible in their eyes, in the firmness of their voice, in the strength of their step. Faith sets them apart, and that faith reshapes their world. You must understand that the world reflects not what is true, but what is believed. A man who believes he will fail creates conditions that justify his belief. A woman who believes she will rise creates circumstances that confirm her rise. This is not mystical. It is cause and effect. What you believe determines how you act. How you act determines what you receive. What you receive becomes the proof of your original belief. And so the cycle continues. The doubter creates proof of doubt. The believer creates proof of faith. Which cycle will you choose? It is not determined by your background, your circumstances, or your luck. It is determined by the one thing always within your control, the belief you decide to hold. Think of the great explorers who set sail into waters unmapped. They had no proof of what lay beyond the horizon. They faced storms, ridicule, and the very real risk of death. Yet they sailed. Why? Because faith in the possibility of discovery burned brighter than the fear of the unknown. That same principle is alive in you today. Your life may not require crossing oceans, but it does require crossing barriers of doubt. Proof will not come before you take the step. You must take the step, and then proof will appear. Write this truth. Proof is the reward of faith. Say it aloud until it becomes part of you. Proof is the reward of faith. The tragedy is that most people confuse caution with wisdom. They believe they are being wise by waiting for proof, when in fact they are simply being fearful. True wisdom is not waiting, it is discerning when to act in faith. Faith does not mean ignoring reality, it means shaping reality. Faith means acknowledging the risks but stepping forward anyway, because you know that without faith nothing changes. Every great advancement, every personal transformation, every story of success begins with someone refusing to wait for proof. It begins with someone saying, I believe, I act, the proof will follow, and it always does? You may wonder, but what if I fail? Let me tell you, even failure becomes proof of faith. Because to fail, you must first try, and trying puts you further ahead than all who never attempt. Failure in faith teaches, sharpens, and strengthens. Doubt teaches nothing. Failure in faith refines your path. Doubt leaves you standing still. The one who believes and fails will eventually succeed. The one who doubts and never acts will never know success. So do not fear failure. Fear only the paralysis of waiting. Proof will come even through failure, but it will never come through hesitation. Faith is not arrogance. It is humility before the laws of life. It is the acknowledgement that what you believe shapes what you see. The farmer who plants seed in barren soil is not arrogant, he is obedient to the law of growth. He knows that if he plants, waters, and tends, the harvest will appear, though he cannot yet see it. So too with your life. Plant the seed of faith today. Act as though it is already done. Carry yourself as the man or woman you intend to be. Speak as though the proof already exists and it soon will. Repeat this daily. I walk as if the proof is already here. I live as if my vision is already real. Your subconscious mind is always listening. It is not moved by proof. It is moved by repetition, belief, and conviction. Whatever you impress upon it, it accepts as truth. If you tell it daily that you are capable, worthy, and destined for greatness, it accepts it. If you tell it daily that you are weak, unworthy, and destined for failure, it accepts that too. Faith is the language of the subconscious. Doubt is noise. Which one are you speaking? Write this down. My subconscious responds to faith, not proof. Remember it because it is the key to reprogramming your life. Consider for a moment what your life would look like if you chose faith in yourself completely, without compromise. How would you walk? How would you speak? How would you act if you needed no proof? If you simply believed that you were enough, that you were destined for more? That version of you is already waiting within. It is not locked away. It is not reserved for a lucky few. It is available the moment you choose to believe. Proof will follow in due course, but the power, the energy, the transformation, it begins now. Let us ingrain this truth together with an affirmation. Say it aloud, write it on your page, let it echo in your mind. I do not wait for proof. My faith is my evidence. I live as though my vision is already reality, and in doing so I create the proof of my belief. I am the proof of my own faith. Repeat it because repetition writes it upon the mind, and as you carry it, you will begin to see the shift. Opportunities appearing, doors opening, strength rising. Not because proof came first, but because faith always does. Most people never realize that the greatest battle they will ever face is not with the world, not with circumstance, not with competition, but with their own doubt. Doubt whispers that you are not ready, that you are not capable, that you must wait until conditions are perfect. Doubt tells you to hold back until proof arrives, and in doing so, it robs you of your future. Faith, on the other hand, does not whisper, it declares. It declares that you are ready, that you are capable, that the very act of believing makes you worthy. Doubt shrinks a man, faith enlarges him. Doubt blinds a woman, faith opens her eyes. The difference between the life you have and the life you desire is determined by which voice you obey. If you listen to doubt, you will never step forward. If you obey faith, your steps will take you farther than you ever imagined. Do not underestimate the power of small beginnings. Faith often begins as a whisper, a fragile idea, a quiet conviction, but when you nurture it, when you act upon it, when you affirm it daily, it grows. Like a flame, it spreads, it strengthens, and it consumes every trace of doubt. Proof may be distant at first, but faith brings it nearer with every step you take. Think of the athlete who trains before winning his first medal. Think of the student who studies before holding the diploma. Think of the entrepreneur who builds before earning the first dollar. In each case, proof was not available, but faith carried them until proof appeared. Your life will be no different. Nurture the small beginnings of faith until they become unshakable. The man or woman of faith does not live by appearances. They live by vision. Appearances say you are limited. Vision says you are limitless. Appearances say you are small. Vision says you are destined for greatness. If you live by appearances, you will always be at the mercy of proof. But if you live by vision, you will always be at the command of faith. The truth is simple. Appearances deceive, but faith reveals. Your eyes can only show you what is. Faith shows you what will be. Write this down. I do not live by appearances. I live by faith. Say it until it becomes your own. What you must understand is that faith does not simply influence your future, it creates it. The thoughts you hold in faith shape your actions. The actions you take shape your environment. The environment you live in becomes your reality, and all of it traces back to what you first believed about yourself. This is why it is dangerous to wait for proof. Waiting means you are letting yesterday's beliefs dictate today's actions and tomorrow's results. Faith breaks that cycle. Faith allows you to rewrite the script of your life, to create results not yet visible, to shape a destiny not yet proven. It is the creative power of the human mind, and it is available to you the moment you choose it. The world often asks, what if it doesn't work? But the man of faith asks, what if it does? This simple shift of perspective changes everything. Doubt prepares you for defeat before you begin. Faith prepares you for victory before the battle starts. And more often than not, life responds to the one who expects victory. What you expect, you attract. What you believe, you create. What you hold in faith, you become. This is why you must guard your faith as you would guard a treasure, because it is the most valuable possession you have. Proof may slip through your fingers, but faith is yours to keep, yours to cultivate, yours to command. Let us establish another law together. Write it down, say it aloud. Faith is the seed, proof is the harvest. Never confuse the two. Faith comes first, proof comes later. If you wait for proof before planting, you will never harvest. If you plant faith today, you will reap proof tomorrow. This is the natural order of things. Do not violate it. Align with it. Live by it. Repeat again, faith is the seed, proof is the harvest. Let this law govern the way you approach every challenge. With every obstacle, plant faith. With every dream, plant faith, and the harvest will come. There is great freedom in this realization. You no longer need to seek approval from others. You no longer need to wait for conditions to be perfect. You no longer need to beg for proof that you are enough. All you need is faith. Faith frees you from hesitation. Faith frees you from comparison. Faith frees you from fear. And once you are free, your life takes on a momentum that nothing can stop. You will move with clarity, with confidence, with calm determination, because you know that proof is already on its way. You do not chase it, you create it. The men and women who live by faith are not reckless, they are deliberate. They are not careless dreamers, they are purposeful builders. Their faith is not wishful thinking, it is disciplined certainty. They write their goals, they affirm their beliefs, they act with consistency, and they persist until the proof appears. Faith without action is fantasy. Faith with action is destiny. That is the distinction, and that is the path you must choose. Each day, act as if your faith is already true. Live as if your vision is already real. Walk as if your future is already here. In time, the proof will catch up to you. Now let us anchor this part with an affirmation of power. Say it aloud. Write it in bold letters. Faith is my seed, proof is my harvest. I plant faith daily and I reap proof in abundance. I do not wait for evidence, I create it through my belief and my action. I am free from doubt, free from fear, free from hesitation. My faith is unshakable, and my harvest is certain. Carry this declaration with you and live it until it becomes as natural as breathing. This is how the man or woman of faith transforms vision into reality. Faith is not only the seed of your future, it is also the shield that guards you against life's inevitable trials. Everyone encounters setbacks, disappointments, and failures. The difference is not in the presence of hardship, but in the presence of faith. The person who depends on proof is crushed when things go wrong because the evidence around them screams defeat. But the person of faith stands firm because faith does not depend on the present appearance. Faith looks beyond the moment. Faith says, "This is not the end, this is only part of the process. The proof I seek is still unfolding." And with that conviction, they rise again and continue forward. Proof may falter, but faith remains steady. And because it remains steady, the man of faith always finds his way back to victory. Think about this carefully. Every failure, every obstacle, every loss is nothing more than temporary evidence. It is not final. It is not defining. It is only proof of where you once stood, never of where you are destined to be. Faith refuses to let temporary setbacks dictate permanent conclusions. When others see a dead end, faith sees a detour. When others see loss, faith sees lesson. When others see defeat, faith sees preparation. This is why faith is not fragile, it is indestructible. As long as you hold it, you cannot truly fail. You may stumble, but you will rise. You may fall, but you will stand again. Proof can deceive, faith cannot. Your subconscious mind thrives on repetition. It does not differentiate between what is real and what is believed. It simply accepts what you impress upon it. And once accepted, it sets in motion the chain of thoughts, feelings, and actions that bring it into reality. This is why affirmations are so powerful. They are not magic, they are programming. Every time you repeat a truth in faith, you engrave it deeper into your subconscious. And the deeper it is engraved, the more it governs your behavior. Proof is passive, faith is active. Proof reacts, faith creates. Write this down. My subconscious is shaped by faith, not proof. Repeat it until it becomes your guiding truth. Life is constantly testing which voice you will obey, faith or doubt. Doubt says, wait until you see the results. Faith says, act now and the results will come. Doubt says, you have failed before, you will fail again. Faith says, every failure is fuel for my success. Doubt says, you are not enough. Faith says, I am already enough. The voice you obey becomes your destiny. This is not poetic language, it is the reality of life. Your inner dialogue writes the script of your outer experience. And the most powerful thing you can do is to silence doubt and amplify faith until it is the only voice you hear. The men and women who leave lasting legacies are not those who demanded proof. They are those who carried faith long enough for the world to catch up. Every discovery, every invention, every work of art, every movement of progress was birthed by faith. The painter begins with a blank canvas, no proof of what it will become, only the vision. The writer begins with an empty page, no proof of what it will contain, only the belief. The builder begins with raw materials, no proof of what they will form, only the certainty of design. In each case, proof followed faith. It could never have come before, and your life will be no different. Whatever you aspire to create, achieve, or become will only come when you believe it first. Faith requires practice, just as a muscle requires exercise. If you want strong faith, you must use it daily. Begin with small things. Believe in your ability to complete the task before you. Believe in your ability to improve in your work, your studies, your relationships. As you see proof appear, your faith strengthens. Then apply it to larger things. Believe in your capacity to change your circumstances, to achieve your goals, to build the life you desire. Every time you exercise faith, it grows stronger. Every time you give in to doubt, it weakens. The choice is yours. Will you build the muscle of faith, or will you allow it to atrophy in the shadow of doubt? Let me give you another law to carry with you. Write it, say it, make it yours. Faith turns failure into fuel. Say it again until it echoes. Faith turns failure into fuel. This law will carry you through the moments when proof seems absent, when setbacks arise, when the road is steep. Instead of seeing failure as evidence against you, see it as energy for you. Every setback is not the end, but the raw material of your eventual proof. Faith transforms failure into stepping stones. Doubt sees failure as the finish line. Faith sees it as the starting line of a new victory. Understand this clearly. Proof is temporary, but faith is eternal. Proof can vanish in a moment. Fortunes can be lost, titles can be taken, applause can fade, but faith cannot be stripped from you. As long as you carry it, you carry the power to rise again. This is why the man of faith is unstoppable. He may lose everything visible, but as long as he still believes, he can build it all again. That is the secret of resilience, the secret of unshakable strength. Faith is not bound to circumstances, it commands them. Now let us anchor this truth with a declaration. Write it on your page, speak it aloud with conviction. Faith turns my failures into fuel. Every setback strengthens me. Every obstacle prepares me. Every defeat refines me. I am never broken because my faith cannot be broken. Proof may come and go, but my faith endures, and through it I will always rise. Repeat it until it becomes part of your inner voice, until you hear it even in silence. This is the voice of unshakable faith, and it is the voice that will guide you to the life you are destined to live. Faith is the invisible architecture of your destiny. Long before proof appears, faith lays the foundation. Long before others see your success, faith has already built the framework inside you. And when the storms of life arrive, and they always do, it is not proof that holds you steady, it is faith. Proof can be shaken, proof can be taken, proof can be argued with, doubted and dismissed. But faith, true, unshakable faith, cannot be stolen. It cannot be broken. It cannot be destroyed. This is why those who live by proof are fragile, but those who live by faith are unshakable. You must decide which kind of person you will be. Will you live as a reed, bending with every wind of circumstance, or will you live as a rock, immovable because your faith is fixed? Your identity is shaped by faith. If you believe you are weak, you will live as the weak. If you believe you are strong, you will live as the strong. If you believe you are small, you will play small. If you believe you are destined for greatness, you will step into greatness. The world does not decide who you are, you do. And you decide it by what you believe. This is why faith is not just a tool for achieving goals, it is the very essence of who you are becoming. You are not waiting for proof of your identity. You are creating proof through the identity you already hold. Write this down: I believe who I am before I become it. Say it aloud. Repeat it until it defines you. Every achievement begins with identity. The man who identifies as disciplined becomes disciplined. The woman who identifies as courageous becomes courageous. The one who identifies as successful becomes successful. This is not fantasy, it is law. Faith writes identity. Identity writes behavior. Behavior writes destiny. If you wait for proof of identity before you claim it, you will never rise above where you are. But if you believe now, if you claim the identity now, proof will follow in its time. Faith always leads the way. Let us look at the truth of history once more. The leaders we honor today did not wait for proof of their greatness. They lived it before the world acknowledged it. The heroes we admire carried faith in their cause when proof was nowhere to be found. The innovators we study built their visions long before the world believed. If they had waited for proof, we would still be living in darkness, in stagnation, in limitation. Instead, because they chose faith, humanity advanced. Do you understand the magnitude of this? Your personal choice to believe in yourself is not small. It is not selfish. It is the same principle that has driven every great advancement in the story of mankind. Faith is the engine of progress. Doubt, on the other hand, is the enemy of identity. It whispers, "Who do you think you are?" It sneers, "You have no proof." And if you listen, you will shrink back into a life too small for your potential. Doubt does not need to destroy you outright. It only needs to delay you, distract you, and discourage you until your time runs out. But faith overcomes doubt the moment you decide to affirm your identity. Doubt says, "I'll believe it when I see it." Faith says, "I'll see it because I already believe it." That single difference divides the ordinary from the extraordinary, the forgotten from the remembered. You must become intentional with what you believe about yourself. Do not let circumstances dictate your identity. Do not let the opinions of others decide who you are. Do not let temporary appearances control what you think is possible. Take hold of your faith and direct it with precision. Say to yourself daily, "I am disciplined, I am strong, I am wise, I am capable, I am destined for greatness." Say it until it becomes so real within you that no proof is needed, because you already know. And in time, the world will catch up. The proof will appear, but by then you will not even need it, because faith will have already confirmed it within. Here is a law to engrave in your mind. Faith writes identity, and identity writes destiny. Say it aloud, write it down. Faith writes identity, and identity writes destiny. This law will serve you far longer than any proof you could collect. Proof can validate, but faith creates. Proof can measure, but faith builds. Proof can confirm, but faith defines. And once your identity is defined by faith, your destiny is inevitable. Do not underestimate how much power is in a single belief. One belief can change the entire trajectory of a life. One belief can turn fear into courage, limitation into expansion, mediocrity into greatness. The belief you hold about yourself is the hinge on which your future swings. Hold a small belief and you live a small life. Hold a great belief and you live a great life. The difference is not in opportunity. It is not in resources. It is in faith. That is why the greatest investment you can make is not in proof, but in your belief about who you are and what you can become. Now let us seal this truth with affirmation. Say it with strength, write it boldly. I believe who I am before I become it. My faith writes my identity, and my identity writes my destiny. I am disciplined, I am strong, I am wise, I am destined for greatness. I do not wait for proof, because I already know who I am, and as I live by this law, my destiny unfolds before me. Carry this affirmation with you until it saturates your very being. For once it does, nothing in the world can take it from you. Proof may follow, but faith has already won. You withhold it, waiting for proof. It stagnates. But when you invest it boldly in yourself, in your vision, in your purpose, it multiplies beyond measure. This is why those who dare to believe always seem to accomplish more than those who play it safe. It is not that they are more intelligent, more talented, or more connected. It is that they are willing to stake everything on their faith, and in doing so, they create the very proof others demand. The timid say, "Show me and I will believe." The bold say, "I believe and I will show you." Which one are you? Your answer determines your life. Every day, life asks you for a decision. Will you walk by sight or will you walk by faith? Walking by sight means you only move when proof is already in front of you. It means you only act when the risk has been removed, when the applause has been secured, when the outcome has been guaranteed. But by then it is too late. The opportunity has already passed to someone else. Walking by faith, however, means you move before anyone else understands. You step forward when the path is dim. You act when the reward is unseen. And in doing so, you claim the prize that others will only notice when it is already in your hands. Walking by sight makes you a follower. Walking by faith makes you a leader. Consider what kind of legacy you want to leave. Do you want to be remembered as someone who waited, someone who played it safe, someone who needed proof before they dared? Or do you want to be remembered as someone who believed, someone who acted, someone who created a life that inspired others to believe as well? Proof may earn you recognition in the moment, but faith will leave you a legacy that echoes long after you are gone. The choice is yours. One day people will look back and ask, did he live by proof or did he live by faith? And your life will answer for you. There is a law that ties everything together, and if you remember nothing else, remember this. Proof follows faith, but faith follows choice. You must choose it first. You must decide right now to stop waiting for evidence and start living by conviction. You must decide to stop letting doubt dictate the pace of your life and let faith set your stride. Faith is not something given to a chosen few. It is available to every man and woman who decides to believe. It is not a gift handed out randomly. It is a choice exercised deliberately. And every day you delay that choice, you delay your destiny. So let us establish your declaration now. Say it aloud, write it boldly, engrave it on your mind. I choose faith today. I do not wait for proof. I do not live by sight. I live by belief, by conviction, by certainty in myself. I choose to believe that I am capable, that I am worthy, that I am destined for greatness. I choose to believe that proof will follow my steps. I choose to believe that my faith is stronger than any doubt, and my vision is stronger than any obstacle. I choose faith today, and by this choice, I choose my destiny. The reason this matters is because faith is not passive, it is creative. It is not merely a feeling, it is a force. Every time you affirm your belief, every time you act in alignment with your vision, every time you persist in the face of doubt, you are shaping the proof that will one day stand as testimony to your faith. You are building it in silence, in unseen effort, in unrecognized persistence. And when it appears, others will call it success, but you will know it was faith. Success is never an accident. It is always the visible result of invisible faith. Think of how your life will transform when you embrace this fully. No longer waiting, no longer hesitating, no longer depending on proof to give you permission. Instead, you rise each morning with conviction. You act as though your vision is already real. You carry yourself as though your greatness is already visible. And in time, the world conforms to your belief. This is not fantasy, it is the natural law of cause and effect. Faith is the cause, proof is the effect. Believe it, live it, and you will see it. Now we come to the heart of this message, the truth that will guide you long after this moment has passed. You don't need proof, only unshakable faith in yourself. Proof is fleeting, but faith endures. Proof is external, but faith is internal. Proof is delayed, but faith is immediate. Proof may fail, but faith never does. And if you live by it, you will discover that nothing, no setback, no doubt, no failure can stop you. Because proof does not determine your destiny, faith does. So let us finish with one final affirmation, a creed to carry with you daily. Say it aloud, write it in your own hand. Let it echo in your mind until it becomes your truth. I don't need proof. My faith is enough. I believe in myself completely, and my faith creates the evidence. I walk boldly. I act decisively. I persist relentlessly. My faith is unshakable, and because of it, my future is certain. Repeat it again, write it again, live it again. For this is the law, and this is the way. Proof will follow, as it always does. But faith is yours to command, yours to carry, yours to live.